Already done 1 hour live today.
Have you? Oh, cool. I'll check it out. We're live. Okay, we're live. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Tat Chat number. Oh, there you go. Tat Chat number 112. This is going to be what skills have you learned since becoming a reseller, but more important, everybody. And no, it was me.
No, that was me.
That was you. Okay. And more importantly, obviously, we have got Nick with us as usual, and Caroline has joined us today as well. So we're going to hopefully have like a little panel chat for as long as Kaz can stick around. It might not be for long. I don't know what Kaz's plans are.
Oh, it's me. Say hi?
Oh, we all forgot to mute.
We all forgot to do
professionals we are.
Thank God it wasn't just me. See.
Yeah, three. It was me first, and then it was you, and Nick, and then Kaz forgot as well.
Yeah.
We're still getting the hang of this. We're only 112 chats in, so
we'll figure it out by about 250, won't we?
Yeah, maybe we'll have it sussed by then, but there's no guarantees, folks. There's no guarantees. So, Kaz, how are you? And you've got a little bit of cool news to share. I know you were on earlier, but I missed it. So, I'm sorry about that. But
I haven't got any cool news to share.
Oh, it is cool. It is cool. I think it's pretty cool.
But no, I'm very good, thank you. Very well. I've already done an hour, but this was very last minute. I only just just like 10 minutes ago.
Well, I know you're too modest to mention it, but Caroline is approaching a bit of a landmark on YouTube, so we thought we'd try and send over a few more subs to get you over that finish line to, what is it, 3,000?
I'm currently on 2,986, so 14.
Well, I have put a link to Caroline's channel in the description box. So if you guys want to go over, click over if you haven't already. Kaz makes amazing content ranging from reselling to general car chats, which are fantastic when she's driving around town.
Yeah, that's not chats about cars, by the way. That's chats in cars.
Yeah, chats in cars.
It's not a car channel.
Or if you're a fan of Range Rovers, it is a chat in a Range Rover. So that's pretty nice.
Oh, just call me Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah, it's so definitely pop over there if you haven't already. But obviously a lot of you guys will already be subbed to Kaz anyway. Right. Let's say a few highs in the chat as well. Who was in first? I can't even tell. It's gone too far. Is it Peter Cummins?
Well, that's how far I can get back. There's Peter, George Ross, Chelsea, Peter Ray, a lot of the regulars. So welcome back, guys.
Welcome everybody. Right, tonight's chat. Kaz, are you going to be able to hang around for a bit then? Yeah. So this was pretty, like last minute, guys. George Ross says subbed, fantastic. Claire says already subbed, love her channel, says Claire. There you go.
Well, I'm going to get a window open, a separate window open, and do a little countdown until we hit 3,000.
Sib K, being the comedian that he is, says I'll unsubscribe and resubscribe. That's kind of pointless. It's not really what we're aiming for here, Sib.
Not achieve anything.
Yeah, but we appreciate the sentiment nonetheless.
You can start a new Google account and subscribe again if you like.
There you go. Right, subbed over a year ago, says Peter. Great channel. So Peter was on the pulse there.
Definitely. I'm only 9 off now.
2991. Yeah, I've just got it
open. Z alone again, another domestic, says Paul Calvert, reseller. No, this is the Tuesday chat. Only do the Friday chat with Beck. There's no issue. This is the regular crew here. And see Kaz as well. So thank you everybody for popping in. Peter Cummins is also doing a countdown. Karen says I'll get my kids to subscribe.
I'm not sure what they'll make of it. But thank you anyway.
You might find you get to the 3,000 and then it drops down again tomorrow.
Yeah.
When
they all watch it and go, what's she on about?
I think it's one of the great things about YouTube, though, isn't it? You get your own little platform to come on and just share your view of things, and it's just so epic. Power Reselling says I'll make a few accounts to sub. Graham Nichols says Caroline's channel is epic.
Oh, thank you.
Southwest Seller says, Z, the door is open. You will let the smelly farter and Alfie in. Oh, that's cold.
Well, you had Alfie there a minute ago. Where's
Yeah, he's gone off. He's gone off. Yeah, he's not one for hanging around. I think it's because Beck's probably upstairs, so he follows her around really. Right. Thank you everyone for joining. Thanks for all the comments as well. Andy Robinson says, already subbed, hottest property on YouTube, Caroline.
I'm not sure about that, Andy, but thank you. Andy was in my chat this afternoon.
Okay. All right. Tonight's chat, it is going to be quite a basic chat, but something that just came to mind because someone made a comment the other day saying like that I was some kind of what's the word, like a specialist in RC or something. Like people assumed that I was a specialist in RC, and I know Nick has started to get comments on his store as well about the car parts and people assuming they're specialists, and
well, it's gone another level. Today I had 2 phone calls from people, because as business sellers you're supposed to put a contact number on there, so I've had 2 phone calls basically saying, will this part number you've got listed fit my 2012 Hyundai Getz estate? But I'm like, I'll be honest, mate, I have no idea. And then I had to explain, I'm not a dealer, I just picked up all of this stuff. I don't really know any more than is on the listing. But the guy, we had a chat and the guy bought it. So, you know, happy days.
There we go. I mean, Caroline, you had a similar thing when you first got all that BHS stuff. People must have thought that you were somehow the online face of BHS. Yeah,
I frequently get messages from people. I've still got a few lines still selling through slowly of multiples, and I frequently get messages saying, when are you getting some more of these? Or other one, have you got the ones that looked a bit like have you got the blue trousers that look like these black ones but with the elastic in the sides?
And I think the way that relates to the topic is, of course, none of us are like specialists in that. I mean, Caroline, obviously you're a specialist in terms of you love clothes and clothing and you're you know, fashion, etc. But you're not you're not knowledgeable on every line that BHS had ever produced, and yet people were questioning you in that same way. Just like people assume that I know everything about RC, I really don't. I got into it because of reselling, and that's where and same with Nick with the car parts. Nick and Andrew having to deal with all these Hyundai car parts out there, and you know, people sometimes assume that you're like a specialist or an expert, whether that be people that watch us, whether that be customers. But it's actually all it is it's a skill that we've acquired thanks to the great lifestyle that we are leading as resellers. And that got me thinking, you know, wow, actually there's a lot of skills that we all learn you know, when you become a reseller, when you decide to do this, because you're that one-man band. And I thought it'd be interesting to hear from you guys what skills you've learned and that you value, that you could you know, apply to, you know, you could apply these to different jobs even, and obviously it'd be great to hear from the chat as well in terms of what skills they feel they've learned. So should we start off with Nick? What would you say? Is there anything that that pops to mind, like a skill that you wouldn't have otherwise even come across or had the opportunity to know?
I think it's slightly nothing to do with stock really, but I think a skill that we all slowly learn through selling to the public is how to deal with the public. And that is a big deal, because we've all got irate about a message or a customer and whatever. And I think it is a skill that you slowly learn, is to rein in your responses and deal with things professionally. I mean, we've all chatted about this in private about certain customers that we've wanted to tell them exactly what we think. And I think it is a skill to take a step back, a few deep breaths, and then come back with a professional response. And that's something that I certainly learned in the early days, was how to handle the general public.
Well, you had to obviously do face-to-face as well.
Yeah,
and
face-to-face is another level. Yeah.
And I mean, I know that I had that same background, but yeah, in terms of working in sales, and basically what you're talking about there is customer service, aren't you? Really, like customer, and people go on courses to learn customer service. I mean, Caroline, I mean, do you have any like prior customer service experience, or is it something that you've learned predominantly since selling TAT on eBay?
I've dealt with people in all the jobs that I've had. Sales as well when I was in recruitment. Loved that job. No, I didn't. But yeah, I've always been in fairly customer facing roles generally. So yeah, but I quite like seeing them from behind a computer more than in person, let's be honest.
So that was a skill you'd say you already had when you came. So you brought that with you to reselling. So give us an example of something that you've learned through reselling then, or maybe a knowledge that you've gained, or
I think something that I've really learned since going full time more so is how to work by myself and how to find a balance of, you know, I like my own company. That's fine. I'm quite happy spending time by myself. But even I found it quite hard being all the time by myself and then finding a balance between that and too much social media. We were talking a bit about that earlier, weren't we? Yeah. Social media. Yeah.
Well, that's it. We've all talked in the past on videos about the benefits of having a social life within reselling. But yeah, I am definitely guilty of wasting hours at a time on Facebook. I did it today. I had so many plans today that I kind of lost track of time on Facebook dealing with stuff. And yeah,
that brings you to another one. Time management is another skill that you have to learn, don't you? Do you want to talk about that one, Zahir?
Oh yeah, that's my mastery. That is there'll be a course coming out to show you exactly how I waste my time on a daily basis. but these are really great skills though that you do have to some extent get your head around. I mean, and then there's so these are like the kind of mindset ones, aren't they? These ones we were talking about. So for example, customer service, and that covers things like attitude, and then time management. Yes, I mean, and people do take courses to learn these things, but then there are things, you know, like that are actual physical actions. A lot of us have now got a rudimentary understanding of photography, and if it hadn't been for reselling, I've never been like a photo bug. Like, you know, I've always had a camera, but I've never been a photo bug. But because of reselling, I now know what exposure compensation is, and I now know what F numbers are because of reselling, just so I can take, or even if you don't get into the technical side of it, we all now know what makes a good photo versus a bad photo. And you could probably get a real you know, example of that by looking at your own photos from maybe a few years ago versus now. I mean, what would you guys think of that one?
Yeah, I'm certainly not into the technical side of photography at all. I use my phone, and you know, I've never really concentrated on that, but I do take a lot of time and effort in laying out my stuff. I've done videos in the past about if you're selling Lego, take the effort to set it up. If you're selling Playmobil, set up a scene, that sort of stuff. That's something that I learned over time. Makes your items sell quicker, makes them more appealing. So that side of it, certainly the tech side of photography, I really haven't got involved in.
But that in itself is a skill that you've just touched on there. I mean, I know that Harrods used to pay people a heck of a lot of money to dress their shop windows, to make their products appealing, to get people to just walk past, look at a window display and go in and spend money.
Analogy, isn't it? To what your photographs are, that is your shop window.
So we're all shop dressers as well.
Yeah. Because you think about when you're trying to buy something, you scroll through the search results, don't you? And it's lots of little shop windows, and you have to catch people's eye with that. If it's not price related, it's that image that's selling the product. So
when it comes to photography, what about you, Kaz? Well,
I'm just still on photography. I think not so much taking the photographs. I have been on photography courses, but when I was blogging, I did a couple of photography courses just to get an idea of the technical side of it. But photo editing, I think, is a massive one. I spend a lot of time editing pictures. I know a lot of people don't, but I spend a lot of time editing pictures. So yeah, that I think is
another skill in itself. I mean, we've only just scratched the surface. If you think about the process of selling a single item, you know, we've already touched on these things, and all of these things will have occurred before you've even, you know, listed your first item or sold your first item. You know, if you think about it in that respect, because you'll have already done the window dressing element, the photography element, possibly answered questions, and this is all before you've even sold anything. We've got over 100 people watching now, which is fantastic. It would be great to pop into the chat and see what skills you guys feel that you have.
I've just been copying a few comments before we lose them into the side chat within the chat. If you guys can see that.
Look at there's another skill Nick's learnt now.
Well, I learned this
copy and paste.
It was when I was in the six-pack chat a few weeks back, and I realised, you know, we chat between ourselves while we're live, and I thought, why have we never used that?
God, that's so useful. I didn't know you could copy. I can see it now. I've just opened it up. You guys can't see it, but you guys are watching. I mean, only we can see it. But that's so useful because I was missing questions in my chat this afternoon.
And you could have copy-pasted them.
I could have done. See, I've learned something tonight.
So what I copied across before.
Can't believe I've learned something techie off Nick Hills.
First for everything. Karen,
must be that new MacBook.
Yeah, we got a new MacBook today. Ooh, it's shiny and it's lovely. Right. Karen Nocraft said she's learnt to deal with people from all different walks of life. Includes customers and people we purchase from, and negotiating. She brought up the fact about negotiating. That is a skill in itself, definitely when you're buying, but also selling. You have to negotiate sometimes. So that's a skill that I had to learn when I started buying off the public.
I mean, negotiating is a huge skill, and thanks to Karen to bring that up, because actually that's that's a huge topic in itself. You could talk about that for hours, because it's not something that will come naturally to everybody. And you know, some people,
I think as British people, we're quite reserved, and we feel, you know, rude to come in with a low offer or to haggle and, you know, be hardball about it. But it's part of the game, really. And I think if you can add that to your arsenal of skills, certainly when you're buying, or if you do move into getting bigger job lots, that is a skill that you can save yourself a lot of money in and really hammer down the price if you've got the nerve to try, really.
And actually realizing that it is more than just coming in with an offer, isn't it? It's negotiating it can be so different. There's so many different factors to it. Just how you communicate with someone. You can end up talking to the other party about something completely unrelated, but you are actually at that point negotiating, and how that seemingly unrelated conversation about, oh, you've got a similar dog or you've got kids that are the same, will actually influence the end price you're going to get. And you're not thinking about this stuff, you know. Don't get me wrong, we're not sitting there like cyborgs thinking about all of this while it's happening, but this will come to you naturally, I suppose, when you start building it.
I think
and the other side, the other side of negotiation, of course, is negotiating when people are buying your things and using buy it now. And I see so many people get angry when they get lowball offers, and just, you don't need to. Don't get angry. Just go, no, thank you very much, or, you know, use it as a platform to open up a negotiation. You know, that's the other side of it, isn't it? And also, I've learned more recently, I've always hated best offer. I don't like it at all, mostly because I can't use it with immediate payment. But with best offer, I think it does make people more interested in trying to get a deal. People like to get a deal, don't they? We like to get a deal. The buyers like to get a deal. So I am coming around to using best offer a bit more now. Yeah.
I just wanted to quickly mention, I saw Ryan's comment. I was selling some dolls at Christmas, and someone phoned me thinking I was Fisher Price. Lol. I said no, I just sell them. And so that's quite funny. And there was another comment that Nick copied across. Yeah, go on, Nick, read it out.
Yeah, I was going to read it. Sorry if we're missing some. We will try and keep up. George Ross put in the comments there, my biggest skill in selling within my passion of vintage and retro is simply seeing quality. Now, I know this is something that you've mentioned before, Zahir, and I think if you can learn to see quality, it doesn't necessarily matter if you know the niche you're buying in. You just know a well-made product that intrinsically has some value because of the work that was put into it, to how it was made. And he goes on to mention things like dovetail joints and little things, little telltale signs that mean something was expensive or took a lot of work to make. And if you can teach yourself those sort of things, you know, it really pays off.
Definitely. I mean, that applies especially to, that will apply from anything, any niche that you're in or anything that you sell. Yeah, spotting quality is, that's being able to spot value, isn't it? I mean, there's a couple of comments that kind of carry on from that. I mean, Death Pile says he learned how to test for gold and diamonds and learn how to replace watch batteries. I mean, these are all things that, if you think about it in normal everyday life, you're never going to need to know those things. But as a reseller, when you're this like one-man band style situation, so many things you get into. And Fritz Stell says, I've learned to be more selective when picking items to prevent eBay listings that won't sell at all. And in essence, what he's saying there is, again, learning to spot quality, learning to spot what has value.
I think a lot of that comes into clothing. I mean, Caroline will probably have more to say on this. I know Andrea, when she finds something, it's a brand she's not seen before, but she'll say to me, this is quality, this would have been expensive, or by this pattern I can tell it's 70s or it's 80s, this style is 70s, therefore it's vintage, therefore it's valuable potentially. And I haven't learned any of that because it doesn't appeal to me. But Andrea, she loves that. She follows blogs that talk about vintage, she watches videos that talk about vintage styles and just soaks it up because she loves it. So that's certainly a skill that Andrew is learning all the time. And I'm sure you'd agree with that one, Caroline.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. There's so much to learn with clothes. I see new labels every week. And I just thought of another skill that I've actually learned from being in the community, actually. When I was first found the community, I mean, I'd been reselling for about 12 years at that point, a bit longer maybe, and only on quite a small scale, not like I do now. But I'd never, ever taken my phone to a car boot sale or got it out of my bag in a charity shop, ever. And I was quite surprised, and I heard people saying they did. And I think probably because when I started it, there weren't smartphones, so it was never a thing to check prices. I always went with gut instinct, and I actually do it now a lot more than I used to, and it's actually quite useful. So I've learned that.
Definitely. Right. Power Reselling says, I've learned I need a new computer. Sitting here want to smash it over my head. It's become so slow. Oh, that is something you've learned then. That's unlucky, mate.
Peter Cummins shared one that I really like, actually. I think this is great. He says, I've learned not to expect too much too soon and basically chill out a bit. That sounds like a strange thing to say, but I totally understand what he's saying. And I mean, I've been starting businesses and trying to build businesses over the years, and you do have to have a certain amount of patience and know that things don't happen overnight, and not to beat yourself up when not everything is a success, not everything works. And yeah, that I've certainly had to learn that.
Yeah, and the chilling out bit as well. I had to learn that as well. I made myself quite stressed last year by just not knowing how to stop. So yeah, that was definitely a good skill to learn.
Absolutely. I've kind of learned the skill of taking a big step back and looking at the bigger picture. Zahir and I have discussed this. We've all had a bad day, we've all had a bad week, God, we've all had bad months. But if you can step back and say, overall, my business is making money, I'm doing something I love, I'm not working in a job that I can't stand, everything's good. Sometimes you just need to step back and say, okay, the big picture is fine. And yeah, that's a skill I really had to learn, because I used to struggle with stress, and these days not so much, which is good.
I think you're quite laid back now, aren't you?
Pretty much.
Even compared with a couple of years ago.
I think so. I think so.
He's always been quite laid back. Well, you don't let stuff get to you though, Z, do you? You're quite good at
I think that's more of a I'm pretty, but it's not always to a benefit though, because it does mean I can get left behind sometimes. Like you have to keep your foot on the pedal as well. I think there is a balance that we will have to find. But yeah, sometimes I can be a bit too laid back.
And I think it's got to all of us at certain points. It's impossible to run your own business and not let it get on top of you. Because we care about this, we're passionate about what we're doing, and it's so much of ourselves is invested in our business. If the business isn't quite going how we want, of course it's going to stress us out, but it's managing to deal with that I think I'm slowly learning to cope with.
There's another couple comments. Ryan says, "Hey, you learned that you need to move location. Is that like to have a better life? When did you click and thought we have to move to get a better life, babe?" AKA Bex. Ryan's always making comments about that, but yeah, I mean, I suppose it was you again. It's something we took into consideration because of the lifestyle we chose. That, you know, we thought we couldn't really afford a move, but we couldn't afford to stay, so we thought we'd move and deal with it afterwards. And Graham Nichols has actually come up with a really nice comment saying, "I've learned not to be intimidated by other people's numbers." That's an interesting comment.
Yeah. I was talking about that on my live stream this afternoon, actually, a little bit, but seeing what other people are doing, particularly on Instagram, I was talking about it. Right. And I think we all want to share our best things. When we have a good sale or hit another milestone, we all want to share that. And everybody, you know, that's nice, isn't it? And everybody says, well done, it's all good. Yeah. But if you're having a bad day, or if you're, you know, or a bad week, or something's going wrong, it can make you doubt yourself, can't it, as well? It's a very double-edged sword, the whole sharing and, you know, talking about our best things. But I think we do try, or at least, yeah, I'm pretty sure all of us three do, and most of the other YouTubers that I watch as well. I think you do try to share the bad as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of those situations where you have to learn how to, I suppose, control your attitude to things. And I know that sounds like weird to say, but you know, you've got two choices in how to react when you see someone's numbers, really. And I've had both of those reactions, I'm not ashamed to say. And I think, like you said, there'll be days where you've had a rough day and you'll see someone's numbers, and you know, it might rather than and I think it's important to say that most people share because, like you said, they're excited, and if anything, they want to inspire and motivate others in the community to do well. But if you're in the wrong frame of mind, rather than take the inspiration and motivation from seeing someone do well, you can just take it as like, oh, you know, as a negative and as a downer. So definitely that's something to learn, and, you know, not be intimidated, and for taking it for what it is.
Yeah, I would agree with that totally. I was just trying to copy across a few more things. What ones have I read? Fake Rachel's in. Hi there. She says, I don't think this is going back to customer service. I don't think I could go back to face-to-face customer service. At least over the internet, I can scream at a wall first and then write a professional reply. Exactly what I was saying. So yeah. You take that 5 minutes that you need to go, okay, you are an absolute whatever. And now I'm going to say, hi, thanks for your message. I hear what you're saying, but... and a return request, yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Another thing I've learned is not to phone eBay when I'm in a bad mood, to make sure I do it when I'm feeling quite good. Because depending on how the conversation goes, I could come off the phone even worse than I started.
Yeah,
definitely.
There's a good one that came in from Karen No Crafts. Says, I think it's important to know what doesn't work for you. Some will work for some and not for others. It's recognizing that. I think that is key.
Lego.
Yeah, exactly. If you can't stand the thought of Lego, don't buy Lego. It is as easy as that. I mean, obviously, I don't know. Sometimes we say you should challenge yourself and learn new things, but there's a limit. You know, you don't want to put yourself through hell just to make a few quid if Lego isn't your thing. But yeah. I think that's a good point, Karen.
I think that's yeah. I mean, just to add to that, actually, Karen's point there about, you know, what works for you and what won't work for others. I think that's really key, because it's like learning, isn't it? It's about learning, as constantly learning to see what ticks for you, because what comes easy to someone else might be difficult for you, and what someone else might find difficult might be easy for you. So again, using good old Lego, there are people out there. So for example, we know like people like Ben Fitzpatrick, and I think there's Pete as well, who you know, and Rachel as well. I think she's okay with Lego.
Yeah.
You know, some people, you know, Rebecca, she loves building it. They love, you know, they actually love Lego to that extent where, what, you know, they're happy to build Lego sets to sell them. Now that comes, they can only do that because it comes naturally to them and they enjoy it. It comes easy to them. Now, put me in front of a broken Lego set, and it's not going to be the same result.
But put you in front of a load of RC,
yeah,
and you're all over it.
And exactly. And in a way, it's Lego and RC are so closely linked. Yeah, I'd much rather be messing with oil and diffs and gears, but not, you know.
Yeah,
and that sort of comes full circle back to the whole sell what you love, because you will not enjoy it if you're selling stuff. That's why we've all got a pile somewhere of some bunch of stuff we bought that we didn't like, and we just can't be arsed with it, really.
It's fascinating because there's a video I made where with my with David, my cousin. It's like we spent nephew. We spent a whole day, in fact 2 days nearly, building Lego sets, and we built up, I don't know what it was, about £1,000 worth of Lego sets. And I had loads of comments on that video, people saying this is actually my worst nightmare, and it, you know, things like that. But you were saying that Lego and RC is very similar, taking part RC. Yeah, I honestly wouldn't touch RC in that way. I just don't, I'm not comfortable doing it.
Isn't that weird? And that's the same with me and Lego. Like, even though it's, you know, they are so similar.
A mental block with some things, and I just think I just don't know enough. And of course, I could learn about RC, and it's not difficult. Get a few different tools, and I'd be able to learn and take
exactly. It's just not your cup of tea, and and I think it's important to recognize it, and I think that's why you've got to be kind of careful when you are seeing what people are sharing. You've got to ask yourself, okay, wow, that's amazing, that's a great sale, but you know, would you do that? So for example, when I see someone sharing like a special Bolo Lego set or something that's worth a lot of money, or I remember the other day I was watching one of Ben's videos, and he was pointing out there were certain Lego board games, most of which don't have much value, but there's some which do have some value, and there were about 4. And believe it or not, I actually did see one of them in a charity shop the other day, and it was only £6, and it would have probably made 20-25 quid. But I left it because I was like, there's no chance in hell I want to I just don't want to deal with it.
That's one of the good ones.
That was actually the one, Nick.
Oh,
is that about 20 quid
for the parts out of this?
Is that like
bloody annoying?
I just didn't want to deal with it, so it stayed there.
Yeah, so something else I've learned, which is sort of the same, is to leave some stuff behind, even though I know there's money in it.
Yeah,
to leave it behind, and I've always struggled with that. But if I see something and I know there's a few quid, I think, oh, I need to buy that. I need to buy it, but you don't actually, because there's always going to be more tat to buy, isn't there?
Yeah, I struggle with leaving stuff behind. I just want to read out Sib K's comment. I'll never forget the time Nick said, I really like Z's RC haul. I did, and I do, but that's the parts. It's those parts in little bags with written descriptions and a part number on. That yes, I can handle that, and I would be like a pig in the proverbial with that.
But you wouldn't be fixing a diff.
But yeah, taking that apart makes me go, oh, no.
Have you got your big tool out, Zig?
Oh no, this is one of my little crawlers. I had to fix the diff on it, and it was fun. Gears and oil, yeah. Actually, there's another comment here from Gary, which is similar-ish. Gary Dunster says, I've learned how to take PlayStations, Nintendo, Sega machines, and other electricals apart to clean. I've also learned how to remove stickers, clean Bakelite, and also spot quality. And it's like, you know, it's so important to recognize, you know, those skills that and those are skills that you're picking up there. And
it's odd how we come up with ideas of what we can do and what we can't do, because like I said, I honestly wouldn't go there with RC, but I've taken apart N64. I did a video about how to take apart an N64 and somehow in my head, because I love gaming, that's something I can do. Isn't it weird?
Because it's clearly not an ability thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, we can all do these things, but you know, you choose not to. Like you said, on some level you choose, actually no, even though I know that there could be money in this, I know that if I buy it, it's just like Caroline said earlier, it will just be added to some corner or some pile somewhere, and that would be the end of it. And then Jason's just made a really good comment. It says, I've learned that when working for myself, I am a lazy sod compared to how I work at my full-time job. That's quite an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting because I'm the opposite. Not that I've got a full-time job, but when I worked, I feel much more motivated and harder working for myself than I ever did in a job. Not that I mean,
I think
I made myself sound like a lazy ass now, haven't I?
I was going to say, I think I work harder, but I'm terrible at getting started. As in, I'm lazy getting going, and you know what I mean. I've got 101 other things, but once I get going, I work harder than I ever did in a real job, whatever that is. But yeah, it's interesting. There was a comment that came in from Gary or Southwest Sellers earlier. He's learned buying cheap bundles from auctions has taught me the value of a wide range of items. So that's kind of learning on the job, isn't it? It's a case of I've ended up with this box full of junk, and then it forces you to look into it and find out about different niches. So
Indie Chick says I got £40 for that set, and George Ross says, Z, I wouldn't leave that Lego game. 65 quid plus an FBA, and I'm sure you guys got that money, and you know, great.
Yeah, well, this one I'm going to order a couple of bits off Bricklink, probably cost me 3 or 4 quid, and then it'll be on FBA for whatever, 50, 60.
Wow, yeah, but just whatever.
Exactly, and that's
just whatever. I'm like, yeah, I just don't. It's like,
I've been thinking I might do some FBA.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Give it a go. What sort of stuff? Like,
I've always sold a little bit on Amazon merchant, but I've been doing a bit more recently, mostly with stuff from my backlog. But I've been doing all right with it. It's been selling quite quickly, media and stuff.
Yeah,
and
media's great on Amazon. Media's not so great now on FBA. The fees jumped a considerable amount on media, but if it's more valuable, rarer stuff, it's still great. You can command a really high price on FBA for rare stuff, media-wise.
And a lot of new stuff like Blu-rays, I've been finding I can't list because they just don't let me.
Yep.
Like if it's recently come out.
Yeah, it's the same as
CDs. About this.
Most new or current CDs or big selling artists are now restricted, which is frustrating. Just asked Tom about that. Whoa. He's not happy bunny.
He did have a bit of a rant about it.
Yeah,
and Stu Mandry has just put, you know, when I used to do the 9 to 5, I was chomping at the bit to get out of the door. Doing reselling or merch, I'm happy working 12 to 14-hour days. And I read that out because A, it's a good comment, but B, you know, the mention of merch is a really perfect example of skills people pick up since becoming a reseller. We've seen people in front of us. I mean, obviously the name that comes directly to my head is actually Jay. You know, people have gone from zero to full-fledged graphic designers using vector-based software to create t-shirts, you know, within, you know, that's completely self-taught, you know, and to be that creative and to figure out pretty complicated software and to do that. People have done it. Margaret as well, you know, she's using Adobe now, isn't she? I'm not sure if she is or not, but she at some point has. I
think it's a common thread within resellers or within people that have got that element within themselves to take that leap to do it for yourself. You tend to also have the ability to be resourceful.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what you're describing. You know, it's like, I'm going to teach myself Photoshop because that's what I'm going to do. And it's about setting yourself challenges and pushing yourself to be more than you already are. And I think that's a theme that runs through certainly all the YouTubers I watch and friends that I found through reselling, is that in very varied and different ways, we are incredibly resourceful people.
Definitely. And another thing is obviously sourcing. You know, the way you source it, that's something that I've learned so much. You know, it's a skill now that I respect a lot more than I did when I first started. I really did equate sourcing to just as simple as, you know, people say things like thrill of the hunt, treasure hunt, just going out to find something special, and you know, that's all it was at first. But since then you adapt, you up your game. Like since moving up here, we realized that we weren't going to have a great deal of luck in the local charity shops or the local car boots as we were down south, and that could be for a number of reasons. It's not my to be honest, it doesn't matter why that is as well. It's important not to get hung up on these things, like, and it's important to focus on the problem. So the problem was we moved up north, and suddenly I couldn't find the kind of stuff I used to find easily in charity shops and car boots. The why is irrelevant, but I did get hung up on the why for a bit, and then I was like, actually, it doesn't matter why. And then obviously I learned how to source again, pretty much, and it's worked wonders. And I think that ability to adapt, I suppose, that's a skill, isn't it? That's one of the big ones that comes up often.
Yeah,
definitely. I think it's really interesting as well that how different it is in different parts of the country.
Mm-hmm.
When I watch other clothing resellers and their hauls, I mean, Heather picks up Treasure Pirate picks up some beautiful stuff that I would just never, ever see. But it's about adapting to what you can get, isn't it?
Oh, completely. I mean, at first, I think you tell yourself, oh no, it's the same everywhere. And in fact, I'm pretty sure there are videos of me saying it's the same, like I remember actually when we first came up to visit, just to look at the area, we went to a car boot, and I remember coming onto YouTube bragging about how I'd found a Mewtwo for 50p or whatever, and it did really well, but obviously that's a one-off thing, isn't it? And over a period of time, the realization did come through that actually things aren't the same. They really aren't. The quality that I find in car boots and charity shops up here, overall, there are obviously exceptions. There's always going to be that one charity shop that you love and is like the honey hole or whatever, but overall it's different, and it forced me to literally relearn the skill of sourcing, and it's a big topic in itself.
There's a news flash just in. Karen's hubby has just made her a cheese toasty, #living the dream.
Oh, it most certainly is.
That's quite funny because my hubby's just made himself a cheese toasty. See, that is what is wrong with my household.
Wow.
He's living his dream. There you go.
Yeah, on the sofa with his cheese toasty.
Oh,
his wife's not making him any dinner because she's sat on the internet talking weirdos.
Oh, will he be expecting dinner? Will he be expecting dinner after you get off YouTube, by the way, Caroline?
Yeah, I defrosted some spag bol earlier.
Oh, okay. So the cheese toast is more of like a starter then?
Late lunch, apparently.
Oh, okay, cool.
Talking about sourcing, Richard Hale mentioned earlier that he'd learnt to look at a haul or a job lot of stuff and know if it's worth buying or not, because that is a skill. And I've seen recently, or not so recently, but Darren Smart learning his niche about computer games and then being able to work out if a deal has any value in it. And that is a real skill, and one that I think I've had to work on a lot when buying big deals, is how do you assess what money is in it? And it's not easy sometimes.
Definitely, that is to be able to spot that and to work that out and do it consistently. That's the key, isn't it? Consistently. We've actually got 114 people in the chat, which is fantastic.
Wow.
Andy Robinson says, Nick taught me the benefits of parting out Legos. Zahir taught me about the quality electronics, and Mrs. M taught me the consequences of a son not tidying his room. That's what Andy has to say. Wow. That's some real life lessons there. The consequences of not tidying his room.
I'll tell you a secret. I haven't made my bed yet today.
Oh, gosh.
Just some days are like that, aren't they?
Inconsistencies there, Caroline. Inconsistency.
I know. Don't tell William.
No.
Well, for those that have popped into the chat recently, Caroline is a hair's, and that's whatever away from 3,000 subs. I've just checked in, and you're on 2,994. So if you've just popped in and you're not subbed to Caroline Mrs. M, go over there and give her a sub. You can check out the content and have a look around.
There's a link in the description as well.
We have a mini challenge on to get Caroline to 3,000. We've got about 15 minutes left before we're probably off air. Let's see if it's jumped up again. Oh, no movement.
Oh, it will. It will.
Anyway, but yeah, if you've just joined, you did put a link below to here or not?
I did. It's in the description. Yeah.
Cool.
Peter Ray says, "Well, Z, we all saw you sneak Beck's flapjacks, dude. Thought you were in training." Says Peter Ray. Just because I'm in training, well, I'm not saying I'm in training makes it out like I'm Rocky. You know,
sounds like Rocky.
Yeah, you know, like running up the stairs. It's not,
Oh.
it's not that intense.
On the walk in London on the day, if we pass some grand steps like that, we've got to do a Rocky remake of us running up the stairs.
It's a good job you're doing it at night. Can you imagine if you passed some good charity shops? Nick would be making you all stop.
During the day, I would take a backpack. Honestly, it up.
Beck's the flapjacks were epic. Oh gosh, they were really good. Need to eat some more and get her to make some more.
How far could you walk now, say?
Not far, Caroline. We're just about to. We're going to endeavour to do a 6-mile walk this week, and it's slowly building up. So we're going to do a bunch of like 4 and 5 and 6-mile walks when somehow we find the time. I don't know, like.
Yeah, we did.
That's the trouble with the training.
It's impossible.
So much just the walking. It takes so much time to train, doesn't it?
It's impossible. It really is. It's really frustrating. Something that's really.
We managed 5 and a bit, I think, the other day. And my right knee that I've had issues with for years was feeling it. And I'm thinking, hang on, I've got to do 26 miles.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, it's dawning on me just how far that is. Okay, quick update, Caroline. 2997.
Am I? Oh, thank you, everybody.
2997. That's amazing.
Here's an example of skill learning. Phoebe has just said Darren is currently working out how many thousands of different types of Warhammer little soldiers there are. Apologies for the non-technical terms.
Warhammer little soldiers, I like it.
But that's exactly it. I mean, it's going to be a pain at first, but once he's got that knowledge, you know, it'll be there. Just like when he, he's got quite a lot of knowledge on these vintage retro camera pickups because he does those as well, and obviously the vintage toys. And it's amazing, like the knowledge that you can build up. It's fantastic because it's one thing to just see an item once or to see it mentioned even. So, for example, the amount of things that I must have seen like Nick talk about or Caroline talk about or other YouTube channels talk about, and I forget because no one has that capacity to just instantly remember, I suppose. But when you start doing it yourself, it really does.
Yeah, nothing can beat actually having it in your hand and having to do the research yourself, and nothing beats actually selling an item. You don't forget once you've sold an item.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's part of that learning curve of building up your knowledge. You've had a super chat, mate.
Oh, Retro Vintage 65, £2 says went full time on the first. Love to you all and thanks. Well, congratulations.
Wow,
appreciate it and good. And good luck with it. Good luck with it. It's gonna be ups and downs. It's gonna be tough, but
yeah, let us know how you get on.
Yeah,
mate.
Definitely.
Someone says I've got 3,000.
Yes, so Thriftalot says Caroline has made it to 3,000. Absolutely fantastic.
Oh, thank you guys. That's so nice.
Oh wow!
Oh, I'm quite excited.
It's fantastic.
So cool being a round number like that. I'm looking at it now. Epic.
Superb.
I'm just going to screenshot it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well done. It is such a, guys, when you're doing these videos and you're just putting them out, you're not really expecting anything to come of it. And it's so weird when you start building like a little following and, it's just crazy, isn't it? It's so much fun.
Right. I think I'm screen sharing it now. Did that work?
Yeah, there it is. It did. It came up.
If I might be able to zoom in. Look at that nice round number.
Oh.
Superb.
Right, how do I get out of this now?
I don't know.
Here we go.
Have you done it?
No.
No, you're still in it. It's still got you in screen.
There we go.
Yeah, you've done it. You've done it. Superb. Fry up all round, says Peter Ray. Oh, super. Right. Let's have a look at some of the comments. Ryan doing it yourself lifestyle says question. How to learn when to stop. I sometimes work till 2 a.m. if I'm in the mood. I enjoy what I do that much that time is never an issue unless it's 6 a.m. He says. Well, I suppose that's something to definitely learn how to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I struggled with that when I first went full time.
I do that. I don't get going till late, so then I feel, it's not that I feel the need, but my body clock, it's like if I'm awake, and I'm going until I'm, you know, need to go to bed. So the trouble is when I start working late, I'm still going at 3 a.m. quite often. It's not good.
Yeah, you're a night owl, aren't you?
Yeah, I try and fight it, but it doesn't work.
I guess it doesn't. That's one of the joys, isn't it, of being self-employed? It doesn't really matter if that's when you work best and you're at your most productive. Then
yeah,
you know, go for it.
You come across issues because Andrea isn't, and so she's like up with Ellen in the morning, and yeah, it's weird. We're sometimes like ships in the night, you know.
Yeah, Ashley's more of a night owl than I am, definitely.
If I stay up and don't wake up, I just get woken up. Yeah, there's no sympathy from Beck. She's like, well, you knew this was coming. You chose to stay up. I was like, yeah. So
I've just lost it. Retro Vintage 65 said somewhere, couldn't have done it without you guys. I'm just glad that we've helped to inspire you. Like I love it when I see messages like that. It makes the whole
completely
sharing thing worthwhile.
I mean, I remember like when I first started my channel, my main reason was simply because like I felt like I was obliged to, in a way. I almost felt that I had to, because I'd benefited from watching Nick's videos. I almost felt like, wow, how can I not share what I've learned as well? You know, yeah. because Nick sharing what he'd learned had such a positive impact on my life, and it really was that it made me feel like, wow, if I can do that for one person, you know, and as cliche and corny as that sounds, I don't care. It's facts.
Yeah, I think we share that motivation, and that's why it does frustrate me sometimes when you see threads about and this is how you described it, of pulling up the ladder behind you, that whole thing. And there was a thread going on. I won't go into it on this video, but recently I just found that quite frustrating, because I share because I want whoever happens to find it to share in the knowledge, and that's the whole reason, really.
Oh, completely.
Anyway, that's for another video.
Right. Questions here. When you got that job for one day, did you quit because of the pressure we put on you? And I told you how upset I was. Lol. Actually, no. The BP job I quit, I've actually got a photo of it, was when they tried to make me play some kind of a giant board game and get excited about it. It was like a BP version of Monopoly or something, and there was like a giant dice, and it was one of those team building things. And at that point, I had like a Michael Douglas falling down moment. So I at that point, my mind was made up. I was like, that was it. I stuck through it. So yeah, I will share the photo. Lol. I actually took a photo of it to send to Beck because I was so mad.
Yeah, right. They would have loved it. All over the board game would be right up your street, Nick.
It would have listed it in no time.
I think I would have struggled though, because it was a team building event or whatever. It's just the thought of being in that sort of scenario.
Yeah, the forcing you to kind of, there wasn't.
One of the last jobs I had, a bit off topic, but talking of team building, I was working for the local council, and it was bloody awful. It was an office job, only 2 days a week. It was when Will was a baby, and I was job sharing with another girl, and this department I was in, they were full of rules and regulations, local council, just as you would imagine. And they decided they were having a team building day. Now I was basically a secretary, I'm secretarial work, and they said, we're going to have a team building day, and we're going to go out to the forest, and we're going to cut hedges and have a bonfire. And I went, I don't think I am, thank you very much. And I completely refused to go. So they never liked me after that. I left. Yeah.
Like, nope,
But
not
how is
doing that.
that going to make me be a better secretary 2 days a week, wandering around the forest, cutting hedges?
Thing is, it makes you feel bad as well, because it makes you feel like you're being difficult and contrary when
Oh no, I loved it.
when they're the ones forcing like this on you. It's not cool. I don't like that. But
we went on team building. I worked briefly before I stormed out in a huff and did my own thing. I worked briefly for the Fingerprint Bureau when I worked for the police force after I was a uniformed police officer. And we went on a team building day, which was go-karting, which I loved the day, but I just loved go-karting. But it changed nothing. And we all went back to our desks and didn't speak to each other.
Just carried on, yeah. Just carried on as you were.
I still didn't know everyone's name, and I still didn't give a toss what their names were. It was like...
It's forced kind of, yeah, like have fun, guys. You know, damn it, have fun.
We'll all go karting and then we'll socialize and go down the pub together. No, we won't.
Peter Ray has just done a £2 super chat. Been motivated to create my YouTube channel. Thanks. Again, that is fantastic. I'm so happy that
I saw Peter comment earlier that he'd learned all about, you know, YouTube and sharing and editing and all those things that come on the back of trying something new. So
that's fantastic. I just wanted to say Chris, the Bonafide Hustler, has popped in as well. Says hi. So hi, Chris. Good to see you. I might be on Thrift Battle very soon on the Bonafide Hustlers channel. So I'll be hoping to. But the thing is, I might be up against Rally Roots, who've got this huge following, and all of their fans are going to go and vote their stuff up, even though my stuff's gonna be better as well. So that's the thing. So it needs to be fair. So
Chris approached me a month or so back and said, "Nick, do you want to be part of the battle thing?" And I said, "To be perfectly honest, I've hardly been sourcing, and all I've got is a house full of like car parts at the moment. I don't think I qualify for, you know, qualify."
I was
look at my really cool air filter.
I was in it from before. That's what I said to him as well. I actually said to him, I've actually because the thing is, I was in it from before when I didn't have this lot of stuff. So I did actually, or did I? I can't remember. No, I didn't. I was in the process of getting this stuff as the first round happened, and obviously I came out victorious from that. But now up against Rally Roots, and you know, they're going to try to, like, you know, get through on that. But my stuff's going to be good. I've been outsourcing specifically for it. I'm actually, that's how legit this is now.
You're taking this seriously.
Oh yeah. Thing is, that's the thing. We need to get as many people to come in. But anyway,
we'll share links to that on the chat and stuff. There's a question from Rob Jackson I just want to touch on. Will you two ever let Bex and Andrea do a chat? It's not a case of letting them. I'm not sure.
You're not stopping them, are you?
Yeah, no, we're not stopping them. It's they don't. Well, Beck doesn't want to. Live chats she's okay doing the Friday with me. Yeah. But and it's difficult to explain. I mean, she's actually doing her own channel now, which she loves. She loves doing that because she's got full control over it. She does her vlogs. She gets to choose a thumbnail. She's very much, she enjoys the whole process. But live is different. Live is maybe in the future she'll want to do it.
She's done it on my channel. I did a chat with Bex and Andrea about being a working mum.
Yeah, she did, but she obviously was fine when she was there, but it's the previous moments to going live that can be quite
it took me a long while. Remember my first live stream?
Yes, you know, it's one of those things. It's so easy. You know, now we just sit here and we just, like, you know, yap on without any issues. But
we forget sometimes how big a deal it is. And I admire people who, you know, have started their own channels like Karin recently and others that have taken that jump. And it's not easy. Certainly not easy when you start. So yeah, it can be a big deal.
Okay.
So just reading. Chat's just jumped. Okay.
Sib K says, I saw a message from Sib K saying he'd vote for Rally Roots over me as well.
That's a bit much, isn't it?
He did say that. He did say it. I can't see it now. Yeah, even I would vote for Rally Roots over you, Z. Thanks, Sib.
I haven't even seen the items yet. You're supposed to be judging the items, not the person. Has this become a personality contest?
It has, I think. It has.
Popularity contest.
Popularity contest. Yeah, I'm doomed. I'm preparing myself.
It's a bit like Strictly Come Dancing. The ones that are good at dancing don't win. It's always the ones that are the most popular with soap stars.
But the annoying thing about rally routes is they're actually really good at what they do as well.
They're
like the perfect annoying but fun channel. Like you enjoy them as well, and you're like, why do you have to be so good? Yeah,
young and good looking. Oh, whatever.
Even I'm gonna vote for rally routes by the end of this chat. I'll be voting against myself.
End up going, you know what? I'm gonna vote for them.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote for them. Like, actually, guys, my items pap. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Richard Hale says he just had a nice sale. Porsche 924 handbook and service book, £59.99.
Nice.
That's cool. Oh, I tell you what, I sold today. This is right up your alleys here. One sec.
I sold an E-Type Jaguar service book last year for 70 or something insane.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. And when did you come across that, in the charity shop? Or
no, it was my my father-in-law's, who's now no longer with us.
Oh, right. Okay. Not cool. Yeah.
About 2 in the morning, I had a message from a guy in Greenland wanting to know if I could ship these wrestlers to Greenland.
Oh, cool.
One at 50 quid. And he said, I said, well, GSP's on there. Just use that. And he says, I don't use GSP. I've had bad experience. I thought, okay. So he said, I don't mind what the cost is. Can you give me a quote? And I looked up, the very cheapest I could find was 35 quid to get this to Greenland.
Wow.
I thought, he's not going to buy it. But so I spent ages getting an accurate weight.
So you can weigh it and the dimensions.
He's not going to buy it anyway.
Yeah.
So 35 quid's the best I can do. And he bought it instantly. So it's going to Greenland.
Imagine, he's probably going to be the funnest person in Greenland now, isn't he? Like everyone in Greenland will come to his house to play wrestling. Because what else have they, what is Greenland? Like
those poor little wrestling men will be freezing there. They've only got shorts on.
They will. Look, they don't wear enough clothing for Greenland. Look at him.
Look, poor chap's going to be...
it's going to be a culture shock for them, definitely.
Yeah.
But like, there's not much there, is there? I mean, I don't know.
There probably is. It's our pathetic perception of what Greenland is, I'm sure. He was saying that, I think it was for his son, and he said it's going to make his son the most happy little chappie in Greenland.
Oh,
or whatever.
wow.
So, it's nice
that's
when you get
sweet,
that.
Yeah. 35 quid he paid shipping, eh?
Shipping, yeah. So 50 quid for the item and almost as much again on shipping.
Shipping, yeah.
Just talking about GSP and shipping, I came across an interesting one yesterday. I had a guy message me about a jumper, a $12.99 jumper that he wanted to buy from Croatia. And he said, oh, can you do it without tracking? I don't want to go through GSP. It's too expensive. So I did my usual, no, sorry, I only do GSP. And then he said, do you know that shipping is £21 for this jumper on GSP? And for some reason, Croatia, the GSP charge is insane. So I could actually send it tracked because it was only like 400 grams or 500 grams or something. I sent it tracked with Royal Mail for less than half of what he was going to pay on GSP.
Wow. Yeah, up
Croatia
to 500. I've got the list here because I've been adding my own shipping recently. $12.95 tracked up to 500. World Zone 2.
Yeah. I think the issue with some people that some people have with GSP is that GSP charge you upfront for any potential customs fees, don't they? Mm-hmm. So I think some buyers just want to have the chance of the item getting through customs, because,
and of course they've built into that all of their overheads of the warehouse to start. You know, all of that comes along with it. So built into that. Obviously, we've all heard where, you know, I shipped something ridiculous to Australia that weighed like 10 kilos.
Yeah,
and they spent, I think, £15 on the shipping, which is ridiculous. So it all averages out, but. Yeah, I've certainly found I've shipped quite a few of these car parts.
But that saving that guy in Australia made is going to be what's going to count for an overpriced shipping charge to somewhere closer.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But I'm certainly finding, and a lot of it was inspired by what you said recently, Zahir, about the international shipping.
I absolutely loved it.
I put it on all the car parts, and sometimes it's really cheap, like under a tenner to send it tracked within Europe for a lot of stuff, and you know, people can afford.
Well, I just shipped my, was it 500 quid RC or whatever it was, 400 quid RC. That's going to France. Shipped that myself. I've got no issues with it.
So do you use GSP as well, Zay, or do you do all?
I've pretty much stopped. Majority of my items, I do all my shipping now internationally because it works out a lot cheaper.
Because I don't know when it would be cheaper than mine. You know what I mean? And some people are happy to use GSP, so I leave it on.
Yeah, no, I pretty much don't use it now. I use my own. I have it ticked, but I don't think it works because I offer shipping to pretty much every country within my business policies. It overrides any GSP that's on the listing.
Oh,
you can add it on as well as an extra option, can't you? So you can have GSP ticked and put alternative.
Well, you can have it ticked, Kaz, but I think what happens is if you offer a service, if you've got the additional service of your own shipping to a country that you've got GSP ticked for, I think that will override the GSP.
Oh, okay.
So I assumed from the buyer's end they would have a GSP option at this much, and then your
I did as well.
Yeah. I don't. I'm not 100%, but yeah, that's what I assumed. Right. Okay.
Should we read
questions?
A couple more and then wrap it up?
It's nearly 10 past actually. I think we should probably wrap it up because Kaz needs to.
I was only going to stay for the first half. I had such fun. I stayed for the whole thing.
It was a really fun show. Really enjoyed it. It's been brilliant. Yeah, it's been brilliant. Really enjoyed the topic. The chat was fantastic as well. I've got over 120 people watching right now, which is fantastic as well. So next, I think what day is it today? Tuesday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tuesday. Yeah. Tom, I think Nick, you've got a chat with Tom coming up, haven't you?
Tomorrow at 6, which was the time that worked out for us. Yeah, Tom's coming on. We've got a lot to talk about. He's relaunching his channel and he's got another exciting channel lined up. So yeah, can't wait for that.
Superb. And Kaz, are you going to be going live this week as well again?
I've already done today.
I know you did today. I know.
I'm going away for a couple of days tomorrow. So yeah,
chilling out for a bit. A little bit of a break.
A little bit of chilling out. Yeah.
Superb.
We'll pop over to Caroline's channel and watch the live. Oh, you're on 3,004 subs now. There we go.
Oh, thank you, everybody. That's so exciting to do it during the show. It's really good. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
So we'll be back on Friday with our Friday Chinwag with me and Beck. And that will be it. So thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks for all the comments. It's been fantastic. And we will see you guys in the next video.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye.